Tomer Tagrin is the CEO and co-founder of Yotpo, a commerce marketing cloud with the most advanced solutions for customer reviews, visual marketing, loyalty, and referrals. Thousands of leading brands including Bob's Discount Furniture, Brooklinen, Parachute Home, Glossier, and Steve Madden partner with Yotpo to accelerate business growth by enabling advocacy and maximizing customer lifetime value. Before co-founding Yotpo, Tomer was a software engineering major at Tel Aviv University and a chip designer for Intel. He is an e-commerce junkie and passionately believes that great brands are built on happy customers. Please welcome Tomer Tagrin, CEO and co-founder of Yotpo.
Hey everyone. First of all, thank you very much for having me. I'll share my first story of the company with the furniture space. So when we founded the company, I think it was like a year after we founded it, 6 years ago, we got a customer that it was a new startup that has like a new idea for sofas, and they didn't have money for our software. So what we did is we exchanged one of the sofas for our software for free for like a year. And till today, the best software we ever had in the company. So I'm a huge believer, and what I'm going to show you today is how direct-to-consumer and how online is completely changing the furniture industry. We gather data from the industry, and we also gather data from our internal statistics. So I really hope it's going to be interesting. And if after you have any question, like our team is here, or email me, I'll show you my email at the end. So let me start. Wait. I think the clicker is not working. It is. I jumped too quickly. Great. So a little bit about us. We founded the company 7 years ago. Since then, we raised a little bit more than $100 million. We are 400 people across 4 offices. And basically, we are extremely focused on helping companies and helping brands sell online and sell direct to consumer. For us, it's very clear that the future of commerce is going to be Amazon and brands are going to sell direct to consumer online and offline. Meaning, probably the most important thing that you can do today is how you start building those relationships with your consumers online and offline. And we've been fortunate enough to work with some of the smartest marketers and the top brands in the world. So we really had a front row seat to what's going on, and I hope to show you some of the learnings that we've been founding. As a platform, what we do is we help brands generate reviews from their customers and then market themselves using those reviews, those photos, those videos in a very authentic way. And we also have like a loyalty and referral programs, as we're thinking that's like extremely important in today's world. Great. So I'll start with a few trends that I don't know if everybody here knows about the home sector. But this is like the e-commerce growth over time. And you can see if in 2018 it was $258 billion, it's going to go up in 2022 to $394. That means that regardless of the stage or maturity that you are currently on in your online efforts, you have to invest in online channels. The consumers are going there, the industry is going there, so it's something that you cannot ignore if you want to survive. We think a lot of the stuff that's what's happened to Sears or Toys R Us or Claire's is happening because they misunderstood, I'll say, the disruption of online and how they need to react to that. So definitely, like the first thing is like have to happen like really quickly, and all of you need to at least invest half, if not more, of your effort and energy into the online channels, even if today they're not half of the revenues. The second thing that I found like extremely interesting is how much online influences offline buying in the furniture space. So what you see here is basically 80% of your consumers are doing research online before they go to the store. And a lot of them are doing it inside a store. And the level of influence you can see, it's 10x, right? So in a matter of like your online presence shouldn't be just in purposes of converting consumers to customers, it should be very informal. Very formal with knowledge. Because your consumers, before they go to your store, are actually checking out the product that you have online. And that's like a huge driver of offline sales. The third thing that I'll say is there's another trend that at least I found interesting in the furniture industry is all the renting, or renting versus owning, right? I don't know if you're feeling it yet. Definitely with the younger millennials, renting furniture is something that's starting to be very, very big. So just like food for thought, Crate and Barrel also chief executive talked a lot about it. So I thought it's a really interesting trend. And in general, people, right, moving from like owning to renting, there's tons of different statistics about how millennials are different than previous generation in how much they want to own products. It can be homes, it can be furniture, and it can even be like, I don't know, WeWork in terms of renting your working space. Great. So like trending high level that I think is like really, really, really important. One is like renting, right? That we talked about, or why you should want to move to online a lot. One is the rating. Second is like the high ticket purchase cycle and digital. All of those actually lead into the fact that you have to be very good in online. And the way to do that is to stand out in search. We're going to talk a lot about it, but Google, like the previous presentation on Instagram, I'm a big believer in that, but you need to think about social more as a discovery place, right? That I'm not sure if, like, I'm not coming with intent to buy. Versus in furniture, Google, where you're coming with intent to buy, Google is probably the most important place for you because people are actually going to search for keywords. So standing out in search is one of the most important things because from other verticals like in beauty or fashion, furniture is actually a very intent-based industry. So regardless of your social efforts, Google is a huge driver for the brand that we work with. Second is definitely we're going to talk about community, about social, how to market in an authentic way, and also information. Because there's a lot of research happening online, even if the transactions happen offline, you have to be very, very good in educational information on your online channels. Great. So let's talk about stand out in search. So for those of you who don't know, Google Shopping is the fastest growing revenue driver for Google. And mobile, even more than that. I think 67% of searches are now happening mobile or some crazy number like that. So for an intent-based industry, Google is probably where I would start and make sure I cover all my grounds. Extremely important. A few ways that we help companies do that. I'll move to that. So I don't know how SEO geeks are you guys, but because of we are working with a lot of brands that we are able to generate a lot of authentic, real reviews from their customers, photos, question and answers, videos, we're able to integrate that into Google. And then we have what we call like a dedicated SEO page. So think about it, all of the content is going to be live on a certain page, and that page usually really ranks up at Google because Google takes into consideration user-generated content as a very authentic and a very high-quality signals in their SEO ranking. So taking all, like generating a lot of content from your customers and putting it in a way that Google can crawl it, that Google is visible to Google is something that we highly, highly recommend. We saw companies moving from like X to 10X in the organic traffic that they're getting just because the ability to integrate user-generated content into their online effort. And again, it can be on product pages, but it can be on a dedicated page. We have customers just putting all of the content in one page and call it like parachute reviews or Bob's Furniture reviews, it doesn't matter. That's also really, really helping. Another important thing to know about reviews in Google is the fact that reviews is really, really good for long-tail keywords. So it's going to be very hard for you to own the big keywords, right? So the best sofa in the world, that's probably something that a lot of companies are bidding on. But if I now want to buy like the best sofa for my toddler kid that has like 4 legs, right? That's like a long-tail keyword, that's probably something you can compete in getting a lot of traffic. Sorry, so reviews are very, very good for long tail keywords. So from an SEO strategy, we always see like a lot of success of integrating our software in a lot of online channels. The second thing that I'm like, you have to play, and if you're not playing again, Google Shopping, super, super important for SEM. What's Google called? Like search engine marketing, and SEO, search engine optimization, is what you see here, our software, because we are a Google partner, we integrate the stars into Google Shopping. And therefore, what we're seeing is that we're able to increase CTR. CTR is a click-through rate, meaning from how many people that saw the ad actually clicked on the ad quite significantly. We're talking about 17% uplift in CTR, and that's really, really helping budgets that you spend on Google. So I highly recommend, even if you use Yotpo or not Yotpo, is to take the user-generated content provider that you have and make sure it's integrated into Google Shopping, because currently inside Google Shopping is probably, I don't know if it's a greenfield, but it's probably the best place to invest money because the CTRs are relatively sane versus other channels that Google have. So Google Shopping, again, you're an intent-based business. Google Shopping is probably the best place to start spending your dollars in terms of SEM efforts. Also really important to know that how Google algorithms work, that if you're doing very well on SEM in Google Shopping, you will be ranked higher in SEO on the organic results. So always like SEO and SEM strategies are going hand in hand together. So again, invest in the organic side and invest in Google Shopping. If you need to take one thing out of my presentation, take this one, and injecting reviews and user-generated content into that, it's massive. Another something that I'm super excited to announce, it's actually something we haven't announced publicly yet. We finished like a A/B test period with Google, and for the first time, you're able inside Google Shopping to inject user-generated photos. Meaning, because Yotpo is very good to generate, and we're generating like millions of the photos of your customers. It can be a selfie, it can be a customer just taking a photo of their living room. It doesn't matter. We are now able to take those photos and inject them back into Google Shopping. So, and what you see here, this is the new search result. You're going to start seeing that more and more and more, but how Google is presenting the user-generated photos. And that's massive, because again, that really affects click-through rate and the CPAs, right? How much it costs you to acquire a customer. And this is going to be really, really cheap at the beginning with really, really good results. So one of the things that we work with our customers is to make sure that you stay ahead of the curve, because it's all a question of like, how do you get the best acquisition cost in great unit economics. So we are super, super excited about the new partnership with Google of injecting real user-generated content and real photos into Google Shopping. So if you look, this is like, right, what I showed you, this is the regular one, basically from the website or a studio took a photo. And what we discovered with Google, that it's great, but actually real customers that taking their own photos, it's much more authentic, and most of the time converts better than like studio photos for the businesses. So again, invest in how much you are putting into generating authentic photos from your customers, and then you can leverage that in multiple places. And again, Google Shopping is probably the best place to start. Great. So let's talk about now about maximizing information. So that was like the first part was you're an intent-based business. Now let's stand out in search. So it was both organic, Google Shopping, and user-generated photos in Google Shopping. Now let's move to the second level of how to maximize information. And how to maximize information for consumer that's coming to buy online, but not just, also for your consumer that's coming to buy offline, because if you remember, we talked about how much research is happening online. So in terms of maximizing information, we're trying to help in like a few really big ways. One is we have something that's called custom review forms. So when we ask for consumers to generate reviews, we work with our customers, we can ask specific questions. Meaning if you want to know about the comfort of the fabric, if you want to know about how was the shipping, if you want to know about specific things, you can actually ask the consumers. And therefore, the content is becoming much more informative. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Q&A. So Q&A is actually huge. It's something that we call a community Q&A. So community Q&A, let's say a customer can come and ask a question on one of your products. We'll send the question to you to respond, but we'll also send the question to 5 customers that A, bought the product, and B, are more likely to answer. And then, all of a sudden, you have a live community that asking questions, answering answers, and besides being, again, very, very good for SEO, the next customer that comes and has the same question actually sees like 5 past customers that responded and gave answer. That's extremely important for community signals and very, very informative. So social or community Q&A is something that we highly recommend. Another thing is, I don't know if you see, we have a lot of badges of the verified buyer. So I don't know exactly what's the button, never mind. but I don't know if you see up there like the verified buyer, really, really important to show authenticity. So for Yotpo, we can authenticate that the person that gave the review is actually a real person. That's really, really important to increasing conversion rate. So fake content actually takes down conversion rate. So make sure you have authenticity and like different types of badges for verification. The second thing about, and I'll try clicking, yeah. So I want to show you this one. This is actually like super, super important. So what we did here, this is a technology that's proprietary to us based on NLP, natural language processing. We take the reviews, the unstructured text, and we know to extract from it different topics, right? So for example, for those sofa, you see that a lot of people wrote reviews on delivery, on price, on fabric, and on size. And especially when your consumer is on mobile, nobody comes and read like 200 reviews on mobile. It just doesn't happen. It's not comfortable. Now, the first time you can click on size, because if I care just about size, you can click on size, and all of the reviews that are talking about price about size will appear. And if some other person is care about like the price, or about the fabric, or whatever the topic is, you can click on it and get all the relevant information for you. Super important on mobile, because that pops up all the content your consumer actually looking for. First thing. Second thing that is really, really valuable is the analytics behind the scene. So we know, right, what customers clicked and what they didn't click. So we basically can tell you what type of topics you need to write more content about and be more informative about. Because we learned from our research, it doesn't matter how many reviews a consumer reads before they buy. It actually matters how many topics they read. So you want them to read as many topics, even if it's like 2 reviews per topic, because they want to get an information. They don't care about reading like 50 reviews talking about price, but they want to get 2 reviews talking about price, 2 reviews talking about stability, and 3 reviews talking about the size of the sofa. So you want to get them in reading as many topics as possible, and this tool, especially on mobile, is extremely, extremely helpful. So again, the use here of like natural language processing and machine learning to populate the most relevant topics to each one of your consumers is actually increasing dramatically the level of information they're getting and improve dramatically conversion rates. Okay, another thing that we saw that's like really, really working well with one of our customers, Parachute Home, is actually the ability to take the best reviews and populate them in various of places. So when you think about your online channels, right? If we're talking about Google, then they move to your website. What we learn is actually populating the best reviews on the homepage, on checkout pages, on thank you pages, really increases conversion rate along the buyer journey. So we really made it easy to just like test and add different types of user-generated content. It can be photos, it can be reviews, but the idea is how do I increase conversion rate in every step of the buyer journey. So again, highly recommended to use different types of user-generated content in different steps of your buyer journey. So that was like information, right? Again, standing out in SEO, how do I increase information for my consumer? Now let's talk about how do you leverage community, because that's, again, super, super important. So the first thing that I highly recommend of using is actually the visual piece. So Yotpo, from our standpoint, we have a partnership both with Instagram and Pinterest, and we can curate all the photos your customers are already publishing, and you can put it on galleries pages, and then think about it as a discoverable gallery for your customers. So they can click on each one of the photos, they can go to the relevant product page, and they can have like a visual experience on your website. And that's just amazing, because on one hand, I'm seeing, hey, the community is so big, so many customers are actually putting stuff online. And on the other hand, it actually leads me to buy, and especially in your industry, that it's a very visual industry, right? So you want to bring those visual experiences to your consumers. So various of ways of different galleries that you can use. Highly recommend the thing about how, like, the more visual tools you can provide to your customers is better. The second thing is how to influence purchase using the visual piece. So this is what you see here, for example, like different widgets that you can put on product pages that the customer can click, not just how you took a photo of the product, she or he wants to see how other customers that took those photos. So the ability to use the user-generated photos, again, in the product pages where you can actually convert, drives revenue dramatically, dramatically higher. So highly recommended. Again, another best practice is take your customers' best photos and put it also on product pages for your customers to see. Another thing that's really working well, and it's working really well, again, in your industry of like high tickets or high average order values, is referral programs. So think about it that you know when to catch a customer. And again, the referral programs can be on various of ways, like refer someone, get a percentage off, refer someone, get a free shipping off. It doesn't really matter. It's extremely flexible. But we work with so many customers that are leveraging it. And what it actually creates is, especially in a high AOV industry like yourself, customers are very likely to send referrals. And then if I was your head of marketing, I would say, referrals, it's like free marketing, right? Like it basically, CPA, like the customer acquisition cost, is basically zero or almost zero. Now it gives me more budget to invest in Google, in Facebook, and Instagram, because the blended CPA, right, is lower. So you need to leverage your customers and your best customers. One of the best examples, if someone gives you like a 5-star review, just after they gave you a review, if you ask for a referral, they are much more likely to give a referral. So once you have like an integrated platform that you know, okay, this customer actually really enjoyed the experience, now it's the right time to ask for a referral, right? So highly recommend taking your community signal and using like referral programs. We see that something that's working tremendously well, and especially with millennials. They love it. It's a very mobile-first experience, and especially if we know they already gave like a very good experience on your brand, on your products. So those were like the three, I'll say, best practices that I wanted you to take out of the presentation. Stand out in search, give a lot of information, and definitely use community signals, especially visual and referral programs. A few more trends that I thought are very, very interesting, and this is something our research team is working on a lot, and we launched like the D2C marketing book, so if you can go to our website, if you want to download everything, it's fine. But basically, we really try to think about who are the brands that are disturbing or disrupting your industry. And we talk with all of the disruptors, and we try to find some mechanism on who are the brands of the tomorrow and what they are using. So different types of like statistics and what we call like the state of direct-to-consumer marketing. A few just for you to know like what's the top consideration, KPIs. So definitely like e-commerce sales has been top of mind. A new customer acquisition costs. So I hope you think a lot, because CAC is increasing over time. Social and organic, right? Super, super important of the top channels. And I will say even Instagram is becoming larger than Facebook. So it's mostly Google and Instagram. Ad spend, just for you to see how ad spend is growing or not growing. So you can see that like actually the spend on Facebook and Google is increasing quite amazingly. If you look at the growth, Amazon, pretty much steady. Why? Because a lot of the brands understand they need to sell on Amazon because they need to be there, but that's not where you make your profit. The profit you make in your direct-to-consumer channels. So they're investing heavily in the direct-to-consumer channels and not necessarily in Amazon. How they use user-generated content is something that we see a lot on the how much they implemented or the planning to implement. So that's very top of mind of a lot of the direct-to-consumer brands. And again, I'm like the biggest advocate, but please like invest heavily in your community signal and generating experiences from your customers. Just a few of more like how they leverage user-generated content in social, in emails, on-site. I think my time is up, so I'll run. Highly recommend, if you're interested in like direct-to-consumer, read our report. It's like an investment that we put a few analysts for a few months. It's something that we did together with Magento, with Adobe. Thank you very much. I think this is like an amazing conference, by the way. We see a lot of industries doing that. And one thing, like start being very focused on the direct-to-consumer channels, because the company that's going to be here in 10 years are the company that are able to crack it down online and offline. So thank you very much. I hope it wasn't too quick. Oh, question, yeah.
Question time is here.
Definitely, yeah. Any question that anyone has, would love to answer if I wasn't talking too fast, as I have the tendency to talk 400 miles an hour.
I saw lots of people taking videos. There's got to be a question or two, for sure.
Okay, so if anyone have a question after, feel free to email me, tomer@yotpo.com, or our team is also walking here. And thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.